Hey, Scott, I'm going to show you how to install switchback functions for vehicles that have 7440 and 1156 and 3156, which is a lot of Toyota and GM and Ford products. But I'm going to show you how to do the switchback function so you can have that function on your tail light with your turn signal, similar to what a lot of Chrysler products have. By the way, there are timestamp shortcuts in the description, so you can just go there to skip to whatever point to the video you want to see, just to make it a little easier if you already know half the information I'm telling you. Enjoy. So with the socket you're going to use to make this a switchback, you need a switchback bulb. One side of this bulb is basically a ground, and same thing with this socket. So you see two ports for it. This, where the green wire is going to be your ground, and then the white wire is going to be your high for the turn signal, and then your low, which would be either the brake or tail, however you want to do it, but brake. And so I already marked this bulb, so I know that the amber side is right here. So I already have the bulb plugged in, and this white wire, like I said, is going to be the amber. This red wire is going to be the brake. So let's try it. I have a tester, so I put the power. This green is the ground, and if I put this power to the red wire, that's going to be my brake for my switchback function. So red, green, and technically if I run the red and I put this on it, it should switch it to amber because it's a switchback. So you're going to start by opening the trunk or hatch depending on the vehicle. Alright, so first you're going to access the screws that hold the bolts of the tail light in. Alright, now I'm going to remove the two 10mm bolts that keep the tail light. Okay, now I'm going to remove the tail light, and I'm going to use this tool to pry on this end on the side, which you can see is a little more tricky to remove, but and here's the turn signal socket right there. To explain better, the turn signal is a ground and a positive for the turn signal. Remember, we want to have that function for the red light to work too, so we need a running light positive socket. So you're going to use the ground for the turn signal. Connect this green wire as the ground, so you're going to get the ground, connect that. You're going to get the amber to connect to the turn signal like usual, but you still need to splice into this third wire to be able to get the running light socket. And I'm going to splice whichever one of these is the brake light, and I'm going to have to identify which one is the brake light first, because remember, we already have these two, but we need one to be a running light for the switchback function. So a park / brake, running light, whatever. So, okay, so a good way to test and identify which one is the brake light wire is you have 3 pins in here. One of these is obviously the ground, one of these is the tail light, and one of these is the brake light, because the car already has a separate turn signal socket. So one is the ground, one is the tail light, and one is the brake light. I'm assuming the red one is the brake light, but I'm not sure. So a good way to do that is you're going to get your voltmeter and then stick it in there. So what we're going to do here is process of elimination. So we know this black wire right here is likely, I'm pretty sure it's the ground wire, but we have 2 more, which is the tail and the brake light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut on the tail lights and stick my voltmeter in, and if it shows me 12 volts, then I know that's the tail light wire, and then I only have 1 wire left, which is obviously going to be the brake light. I mean, I'm still going to test it, but that's an easy way to determine which circuit is the one you're looking for. You just test it with the power, making sure the other ones are idle, and then you'll know. Okay, so we know the tail lights are on, so now it's time to stick the voltmeter in here and test. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to stick these 2 pins of the voltmeter, one in the black, and then I'm just going to stick the other one in the red. And as you see on that voltmeter right here, it just jumped up to 12. So that lets me know that that's my tail light wire, and that's the wire that I'm looking for. Just to be sure, I'm gonna test the brake by putting a shoe in a box on the brake pedal. You see the brake is on. So now I'm gonna stick my pins in here and I'm gonna try the green wire with the black wire to make sure that it actually cuts on, so that I know and test with the voltmeter to make sure that's the actual brake light wire, which honestly, I should've just did that from the beginning. I don't have the tail lights on anymore, of course, because that would just be confusing and stupid. So I'm gonna stick this pin in here, the black probe inside the negative, and I'm gonna push this on the green one. And you see, 12 volts again up there, so you know it's the brake light wire for sure. Okay, so here comes the part where we splice wires. So we know this is my negative and my positive for turn signal. We're gonna cut that off. We're gonna splice that into this, and I'm going to heat shrink. So I'm going to strip this wire, both of them. I need to strip it that far back. And then we're gonna get our new wire. Remember, this is the turn signal and this is my ground. So I'm going to use one of my all-time favorites, heat shrink, because I don't believe in the electrical taping everything. That makes me cringe. But slide the tube over. And you're going to twist it over. And you can do this with each wire. I don't know why you wouldn't. You see that? Slide the tube over the wire you just spliced. Get a lighter. And as you see, it shrinks over the wire. And there you go. Okay, now remember, the red wire needs to connect to the green wire. So we're gonna do the same process of using the heat shrink, but there's two ways you can do this. You could just strip it. Well, I'm not gonna show you those ways, but I'm gonna do this, strip it. And then fucking heat shrink on here. Going to, oh, I'm sorry, I have to twist this way. And there's a reason you need to do that, because you have to slide this yellow tube back over that wire. So okay, and once again, we have the red wire spliced in with the green wire that we identified as our brake light wire. And I'm going to give you a demonstration. Okay, so in the case of this vehicle, not every vehicle does this, but in this case, I had to use a Diode Dynamics S1 switchback module, because when I cut on the turn signal, the brake light still lights up and it doesn't cancel it out or override the brake light. Not every vehicle has this issue, but in this case, this one did. After I used the module, this was my result and how it worked out. Okay, now just remember, this would be a good idea for vehicles where you only have the turn signal function, but you need you want to have a parking light function, especially for the front, where you have a front turn signal, but you want it to be a dual function bulb where you can put in switchbacks that are, you know, a white solid DRL or running light, and then cancels it out as a turn signal. That's what this is very good for. So I hope you enjoyed the video.